So in this presentation, we are going through the pollution control process of various industries such as cement, petroleum, dyeing and pigment, and thermal plant. First, we will go through the pollution control process in cement industry. So the reduction of this flame temperature, then by reducing the usage of fuel and the formation of this, reducing the atmospheric zones in the kiln, all led to the lower emissions of the oxides of nitrogen. So in the kiln, there are various atmospheric zones are there, in which we are providing sufficient temperature for the raw materials to burn inside the kiln. So normally in this cement industry, to form the clinker. So normally the clinkers are formed inside the kiln, and these clinkers, they are grinded into fine powder, that is the cement. So normally this limestone, clay, etc. we are mixing in that kiln, and we are giving a temperature of say 1450 degrees Celsius, and in that cement kiln, then the clinkers are from normally the clinkers in the form of aggregates, small granules of solids, and they are grinded to form fine powder, that is cement. So the temperature in the kiln will be very high. So if you are reducing that flame temperature, and if you are reducing the usage of fuel for burning the skin, and if you are reducing the atmospheric, that is temperature within the kiln, we can reduce the emissions of NOx. So the reduction in this NOx up to 30% can be done by applying the process control optimization techniques. So this process control optimization techniques, for you to understand, I am just explaining. This is the nothing but some control measures are taken. Some optimization techniques are taken by almost not only the cement industry, but almost all the industries, they use this control optimization techniques. That is to minimize the, that is to ensure the optimum raw milk consumption, that is to minimize or to maximum, to optimize the raw material composition, then to manage the combustion process and to improve the operation of the process that is taking place within that industry. Thus by optimization techniques, the productivity can be increased, the maintenance cost can be lower, and the fuel reduction, the usage of fuel can be reduced. So various process control optimization techniques is used by the various industries depending upon the process that is taking place within the industry. So if they are applying a proper control optimization technique, they can reduce the NOx up to 30%. Then another pollution control technique, it is the reduction of SO2 emission. So that can be reduced by decrease in the volatility at lower flame and combustion temperatures, and also by oxidizing the atmosphere in the kiln along with its stable operation. So to decrease the volatility at lower flame means, that is the ease with which, volatility means when the flame is high, what happens is that certain compounds will be converted easily into the gaseous form. So in order to decrease that volatility of this compound such as sulfur compounds, so if the volatility is increased, what happens is that it emit gases. Immediately that compound will be converted into in a gaseous form, which creates pollution. So we have to reduce that volatility at lower flame by lowering the temperature and by oxidizing the atmosphere in the kiln. So oxidizing the atmosphere means that oxidizing atmosphere is nothing but that is increasing the percentage of oxygen within the atmosphere of that kiln. So what happens is that if the fuel that is used for burning the kiln, if it is containing the sulfur etc. inside the kiln, if there are fuels having this containing this sulfur, it will be oxidized in the kiln to SO2. So which at lower temperature it will react with the lime to produce the anhydride calcium sulfate. So this anhydride calcium sulfate, it increases the feeding burning ability, that is by contributing the low temperature. So in order to contribute the low temperature, this oxidizing atmosphere plays very important role inside the kiln. And in the kilns, kiln means the cement kilns, if we are providing this electrostatic precipitators, we can reduce the particle emissions that is emitting from the kiln. So electrostatic precipitators, it absorbs the particulate matter and it reduces the emissions. Then certain fuels and raw materials which is having high level of nitrogen, sulfur, heavy metals, or the organic compounds which emit the emissions of this NOx, SO2, heavy metals, or VOCs, means that's a volatile organic compounds respectively, which can be avoided by selecting the suitable raw materials and fuels. So when we select the raw materials and when we select the fuels, when they are burned, the emissions of this NOx and SO2 etc. should be very low. So in selecting this raw material, that is most important. So in that already I have mentioned that optimization control technique, it also involves the selection of raw materials. So the raw materials should be selected in such a way that the emission should be very low. Then the physical state of fuels also affects the generation of the NOx, how it forms. That is depending upon whether we are selecting a liquid fuel or whether we are selecting a solid fuel. So liquid fuels, it can be controlled more easily than it tend to generate lower emissions of NOx compared to the solid fuels. So solid fuels, for example, wood, charcoal, etc. they are the solid fuels. When they burn, they produce more energy. Energy is obtained from by burning this wood, charcoal, etc. So that is a solid fuel means. So liquid fuels, if you are using, they generate lower emissions compared to the solid fuels. Now the reduction in clinker, it reduces the energy consumption and also the generation of the atmospheric emissions, because when more clinker is produced, what happens is that the energy consumption will be more and the atmospheric emissions also will be more. So we have to reduce that. Then the materials that are suitable for use as clinker, it can be substituted by the natural materials, or sometimes we are using some raw material that is originating as a byproduct from other industrial process. And for example, such as natural pozzolanas or industrial pozzolanas we'll be calling. Then power station fly ash, then the blast furnace slag, then silica fume that is obtained from the ferro alloy industry and cans and shells. All these materials we can use it as a clinker substitute instead of, because if you are using this clinker, then it produce large amount of energy and the generation of this, that is atmospheric emissions also generating will be very high. So in order to reduce that clinker, instead of that clinker option, we can use this materials also. So these are the various pollution control methods. By adopting this, we can reduce the pollution to an extent. Now coming to the pollution control process in petroleum industry. So this petroleum industry uses large quantities of water and wastewater. It can be treated within the industry also, because large quantity of water it uses, and the wastewater, that is a waste effluent that is coming out from the petroleum industry, has to be treated within the industry itself. So this almost all the petroleum industry has a treatment plant inside it to treat the wastewater. And the gas streams, that is from all the refinery process, they usually pass through the gas treatment and sulfur recovery units are there, because the specialty of this petroleum industry is that the effluent or the wastewater that is coming after the various process within the industry will be containing the sulfur unit. So in that final effluent, after treating, the final wastewater that they are just disposing outside will contain sulfur units. So within the treatment plant itself, even the units will be become less efficient due to the sulfur content. So it is very important that sulfur is the most important parameter, chemical parameter, that we have to remove from the wastewater treatment plant, especially in the petroleum industry. So then most all the gas streams from the refining process, then normally they uses this gas treatment and sulfur recovery units will be there. That is to remove the sulfur, and we can recycle. After recovering the sulfur, we can recycle it and we can use them as the fuel gas also. Then particulates that can be captured in the electrostatic precipitator or cyclone separator. These cyclone separators and electrostatic precipitators, they are used to capture the particulate matters that is emitting from the industry. So these are used, that is for minimizing the emissions of SO2, that is sulfur dioxide. We can use that fuel with low sulfur content. So we have to minimize the emissions of SO2, and we can use that fuel with low sulfur content. So always when we use the fuel, we have to use the fuel which is having less sulfur content. That is to minimize mainly the emissions of SO2. And we can recover the non-silica based catalyst, and we can reduce the particulate emissions also. So this catalyst normally we are using in this petroleum industry to speed up the cracking reaction. That is, if you are cracking this heavy gas oil, etc., we can convert into diesel oil, gasoline, etc. So various chemicals we are using as catalyst to enhance the reaction. Normally the zeolite or aluminum hydrosilicate or bauxite, like that we are using. So this fluid catalyzed cracking is used, that is to convert this heavy gas oil into diesel oil and gasoline. Then we can use low NOx burners, we can use, that is to reduce the nitrogen oxide emission. That is another option. Then by proper designing and by proper maintaining this various units that is used in various process within the industry, we can reduce the emissions of, that is emitting from the petroleum industry, and we have to keep the fuel usage to a minimum. And it is always better to use the non-chrome based inhibitors in cooling water, where inhibitors are needed in some process and all. For cooling this water, certain inhibitors are used. So it is mostly in compared to the chrome based inhibitors, non-chrome based inhibitors are normally used, because chromium is always, or the compounds of chromium, they are very toxic. So always it is better to use non-chrome based inhibitors, and we can recover the sulfur from the tail gas in high efficiency sulfur recovery unit. So tail gas means there is a gas that is produced in the refineries. Then another method for the control process of this petrol industry, we can minimize the losses from the storage tank, and also from the product transfer areas will be there. That is by different methods such as vapor recovery systems, and by providing the double seals, we can provide the various losses from the tanks also. And if you want to minimize the SOx emissions, we can use this desulfurization of this fuels also. Suppose, and in certain cases, if you want to use certain fuels which is having high content of sulfur, then we have to use some emission control method should be adopted, should be provided. The unit should be equipped with the SOx emission controls, etc., to reduce the emission of sulfur from the fuels. So it is always better to minimize the SOx emissions, either by using desulfurization of soil, or if you want to use the high sulfur fuels, then we have to equip that unit with SOx emission control methods. So next comes the pollution control process in dyeing and pigment industry. So the most common methods that is employed to treat the wastewater from this dyeing and pigment industries, which contains, so the wastewater that is from the dyeing and pigment industries contains organic dyes, pigments, etc. So the waste treatment can be classified in three main categories. There is a physical treatment, chemical, and the biological treatment. Physical treatment, it includes the adsorption, the filtration, the flotation, etc. Then chemical process, it includes the coagulation, oxidation, reduction, electrolysis, etc. Then the biological process means to decompose the organic materials if it is present in that wastewater, either aerobically or by using anaerobic degradation. Aerobic in the presence of oxygen, and anaerobic means in the absence of oxygen. If the decomposition is taking place with the help of aerobic bacteria, then aerobic decomposition. Anaerobic bacteria, then anaerobic decomposition. So aerobic bacteria means it consumes oxygen, then it decomposes the organic matter. It stabilizes the organic matter, so that the BOD load, etc., can be reduced within the effluent before disposal. So these are the various treatments that we are commonly giving for the dyeing and pigment industry before disposing that effluent to the environment. So the extensive use of dyes, normally it is a threat to the environment. So normally this wastewater will be in the form of colored form. Normally the wastewater that is discharging from this dyeing and pigment industry will be in a colored form. So one of the conversion method of removal of dyes from this wastewater, it is a adsorption method, normally that is adopted. So the chemical coagulation method we are using, that is to remove the compounds that is present in the wastewater, that is from the dyeing manufacturing industries. So in that wastewater contains various types of solids, such as the fine particles will be the, coarse particles will be the, colloidal particles will be the. These colloidal particles will be negatively charged particles which will not settle. If you are keeping that wastewater for a long period of time without disturbing that wastewater, the fine particles will be settling at this bottom, even the coarse particles will be settling at the bottom, but this colloidal particles which is having that negative charge will not settle at the bottom. So in order to make that colloidal particles to settle, normally the coagulants, certain chemicals known as coagulants will be added so that it will make the even the colloidal particle to settle at the bottom. So the combined ferric chloride and also this polyaluminum chloride along with this NaOH, that is sodium hydroxide, for flocculants was best suited for removing. So if you are adding normally this coagulant we are providing as a ferric chloride, we can provide almost all the salts of iron, that is ferric chloride, ferrous sulfate, ferrous chloride, etc. All this can be used. So combined ferric chloride, normally we are using ferric chloride and polyaluminum chloride along with this NaOH. So if we are adding that, we can remove the COD, that is chemical oxygen demand, then the ammonia NH3, then the total dissolved solids, then the BOD load also can be reduced. So the aeration of this wastewater is another method that to reduce the COD and ammonia. What is COD and BOD already I have mentioned in the previous video classes. So by aerating this wastewater, we can reduce the COD, chemical oxygen demand, and we can reduce the amount of ammonia that is present in this wastewater. That is, in that dyeing and pigment industry, the most important pollution, it is the water pollution. That is the wastewater that is emitting from this industry should be undergone special treatment to remove that color, to remove the COD, the ammonia, the dissolved solids that is present in this wastewater by providing more aeration to this water. Aeration means we have to use some aerators in order to supply more oxygen to this wastewater so that the BOD load can be reduced. That is, the amount of organic matter that is present in that wastewater can be reduced by the by using this, by aerating this wastewater, and also we can reduce the COD also. COD means that is the chemical oxygen demand. And the next comes the pollution control process in thermal plant. So various modern pollution control devices such as the electrostatic precipitators, cyclone dust collectors, spray type bed scrubbers, fluidized bed combustion, all these things can be used as a pollution control devices in the thermal plant. So normally this fluidized bed combustion can be used to reduce the emissions of sulfur oxide and oxides of nitrogen. And the spray type bed scrubbers are the which is used in thermal plant to remove the fumes, smokes and soluble gases such as the SO2 and NOx in the flue gases. So these type of devices can be used in the thermal power plant to control the pollution. And there are ash ponds can be provided, that is for disposing the ash that is coming from the thermal power plant. Then another method to control the pollution within this thermal power plant, it is usage of electrostatic precipitators. So they can be used within the thermal power plant, that is to separate the dust particles from the flue gases. So in addition to this electrostatic precipitators, normally electrostatic precipitators are used. In addition to that, we can use the scrubbers and also fabric filters can be used. This fabric filters is also known as the bag houses. So they are nothing but they are the devices that remove the particulates from a gas stream, that is by passing the dirty air through a layer of cloth filtration. So the particulate matter will be deposited on the cloth surface, leaving only the clean air to pass through it. So we can use this fabric filters along with this electrostatic precipitators. Then within that thermal power plant, always it is better to use the coal which is having low sulfur content in order to reduce the emissions from the thermal power plant. So high heat content, then low ash and low sulfur coal can be used within the thermal power plant in order to reduce the emissions from the plant. Then another most important method that we can adopt in the thermal power plant, it is the usage of clean coal technology by adopting the clean coal technology. So what is clean coal technology and all we have just covered in the previous modules. Either in module 2 or 3 have just taken what is clean coal technology and what are the different methods that is used for clean coal technology. So this clean coal technology can be mainly used to reduce the emissions such as the carbon dioxide and SO2, especially from the thermal power plant. Then another method is that we can install this taller stack. Stack means chimneys, so that the smoke, then the gases will be emitting in a higher level, which is safe for the living things. Then another method is to remove the sulfur compounds from the fuels. Before burning this fuels, it is always better to remove the sulfur compounds, because when we burn this fuel having this sulfur, then the emissions will be more. So in order to reduce that, we can remove that sulfur compounds from the fuel. And another method is to control the NOx, that is by reducing the temperature in the combustion zones. So if you are reducing this temperature to an extent, we can reduce the emissions caused due to NOx and SOx, that is oxides of sulfur and oxides of nitrogen, to an extent. So these are the various pollution control processes that can be adopted in a thermal power plant.